topic as well. So Dr. Shan Lakshmanan is a Vice Chancellor of the Veda Center for Transdisciplinary Studies and a Harvard-trained scientist who received his PhD in Applied Physics from Rutgers NJIT. Shan is also the Vice President of International Research and a scientific advisor and head of the Indian Medicine Sciences and Cultural Division at the World Institute for Scientific Exploration. Shan has published his research work in several international journals and books. Shan has received many awards, to name a few: Aryabhatta Award for his research in Ayurveda and the ISOL Community Program Award for the Indigenous Knowledge and Culture. So today's topic we have is the transdisciplinary approach to understand the truth behind dairy products. Thank you, Dr. Shan.
Thank you for introducing. Welcome all to the Wednesday webinar series today. I actually wanted to choose this topic for a very good reason, because of the background from which I am coming from and most of you are coming from. And we have questions on whether milk is good or not. So this is a very it's a big question, $1 million question, but I have researched on milk based on my own intuitions. I had some things on milk, but also I researched in modern scientific perspective, and also from a different angle of thinking, from a different cultural point. So all these perspectives I am putting together and I am presenting it, and you can based on that you can decide on whether it is good or not, and I leave it to you. I'm just putting my opinions here, and you can choose to either accept or not. So the main concept of milk, if I ask you in general, what is milk? So what would you say? Mostly people know milk from one perspective, and which is you talk about, say, calcium. So calcium is one of the things that people talk about when you talk about milk or dairy products, right? And we have really like concerns whether calcium deficiency is a real problem. So we will go by modern perspective, ancient perspective, and then common sense knowledge. So these three perspectives we can see. Common sense knowledge is where people can just generally think. You don't need like any science for it, just common sense. So that is, common sense is the ultimate science basically, if you're looking at. So if you look at a modern Western perspective, calcium was the driving force for milk. So milk, milk was known for thousands of years, because we have literature back in ancient India. People have used milk for a very good reason. In modern societies, milk was used when meat was not there. People started to move towards mountains, and then instead of killing animals, they started to tame animals, and slowly they move to agriculture. And from so each one, even Japanese talk about blood types for each kind of personality. There is a, for example, O type. O blood type is related to carnivorous beings, human beings. So like that, they relate the blood type with different, they categorize thing. But in ancient India, people have been using milk for thousands of years, and there are special benefits that were being told in ancient India, and especially not just directly milk in different forms, and mostly more than milk, like the um, yogurt or buttermilk or ghee is supposed to have like real big health benefit. So apart from health benefit, there are other things that people did, so including agriculture and things like that. So that is a the perspective. So from thousands of years, people have had this, and naturally for people from this part of the world coming, it becomes very natural to see that if somebody saying you don't need milk, we look for alternatives, or we look for really something is missing in the diet. So but ancient perspective was mostly not based on just the medical property. That was a very small region of the entire benefit of milk. But modern perspective are mostly based on the uh, business model. So the business model was to maximize the product, so that you can get maximum things. So the calcium, protein, and all are developed in such a way that people in pharmaceutical industries can sell calcium tablets if you have calcium deficiency. And the people who have cattle fields, farms, they can sell milk. So that was a very business model. So if people believe that calcium is necessary for our life, you can go by logical reasoning. So simple logical reasoning is, you can ask if some animals, for example, an elephant. Is elephant strong? Is elephant bone strong or no? So you can use one of the the chat button, say yes. Do you think that elephant, hippos, and rhinos, they have strong bones or not? Question. So you ask yourself. So they do. Okay. Well, in this case, if do you think that these animals, how do they get calcium? Do these animals take the milk from other animals? First of all, so the question one, do they drink other animals' milk? So no. So they don't drink other animals' milk. So only their babies are fed with the same milk. So then how do they get their calcium if their bones are very strong, right? Then where do they get the calcium from? How different are they from human beings? This is the common sense questions, right? You can think about complicated answers for this by bringing many theories, but it's a very common sense question, right? Um, it is not true that calcium will do anything for human being, and it doesn't work that way. See, the gut biology is a wrong concept, I can say. The gut biology has been, you have bacteria, yes, and all these things are fine, but that's not the way it really works. So in ancient theory, in modern theory, like you eat some calcium, and that calcium goes and sticks to the calcium. You think that will our body take calcium just like that? If you eat calcium, it'll go and stick to the calcium. If you eat vitamin, it'll go and find where the vitamins are, then it'll stick to that part. Do you think that's how the science works? So in ancient theory, they have given alternative theory, what is called the Saptadhatu principle. So every food except water is converted into 7 types of tissues, no matter what you eat. In places where you don't have these animals, people do take seaweeds. They take other form of, not milking cows, but they take animal products. But still, they're able to get, without eating bones or anything, you're getting, the calcium. And, so the calcium has nothing to do with eating a calcium product. That's a very wrong concept. So based on the logical, you can think about the logic in which set. If that is the case, you cannot think that how these hefty animals get calcium when they are feeding on magnesium. Most grass, if you look at, the grass that mostly like for cows, for example, in a normal environment, not in an environment like in the West, it's been spoiled. But I'm talking about some places in Africa or Brazil where you really have that kind of a grass. You have the component that mostly rich in the grass is magnesium. So the body, when it takes, it knows how to convert that into even calcium. So that is how you get milk or other thing, which if you test, you will have calcium there. So it is not that the calcium they take will convert into calcium. So our body has a property of internalizing. So anything goes inside comes as a different form of product. So calcium is converted, magnesium, each component is converted into calcium. And that's how the Sabbath works. You eat rice, rice is also fine. As long as it is not polished rice. If you just eat rice whole life, does rice will supply bone? Yes, it does. It need not have to have a calcium for that. Everything will convert into 7 types of tissues according to ancient science. So these things are not, people usually think that these can be documented. These cannot be. Gut biology is not documented. Outside things you can document, but when it comes to gut biology inside you, it is all these theories are based on assumptions. Even the ancient theory is based on assumption, but the difference is ancient theory are not assumption. It is basically one step. It is called intuition. So in intuitive mind, they get directly from the source this information. So now when you have two things, you can compare and see which one has a weightage on that. So people need not have to be scared that I have calcium deficiency, I'm going to die. You're not going to die just because you don't drink milk. As long as you have you consumed your mother's milk, you should be fine and there is no need for milk. But if you drink milk, there is an advantage of that milk according to ancient science. But according to what is that milk, where it is coming from, all these are important factors to be analyzed. So without knowing where milk is coming from, you cannot come to a conclusion that whether milk is good or bad. So this is very important to understand. So milk means I am talking about any dairy products. So if you look at, most of the cows, all the whether you're humans or cows, if you're going for a genetically modified organism, such as for example, in cold countries, in the Northeast, you wanted to know what is genetically engineered food and how that's going to impact us, and how the genetically engineered food is fed to these cows, and how it will impact our body. You should know that, right? So first of all, one thing is you avoiding genetical food, but more than that, I will talk about the animals and how this is going to react to. So what is the genetically engineered food? If you look at, if you take a tomato, and I was buying some tomatoes here from an organic store, and then there is a parent who came apparently from India, fresh. He was a very orthodox family. They came to my house, and they were like, he was talking about, I bought the best tomatoes. It was very colorful, and I got it from Walmart. Oh, really? And he was talking about, for some quite a bit of time, he was talking about vegetarianism, how great vegetarianism and all. And then I just told him, you're wrong. What you ate was just fish, and you now just are contradicting what you told. And he was like really confused. What was fish? Then I explained him, for if the tomato need to survive in cold weather, here in the Northeast region, tomatoes plant can die really quick, late August. But if you wanted to survive till September, November, that time, you need to modify the gene. So you put a cold blooded animal gene. So you take a salmon fish gene, they're cold blooded, and inject into the DNA of this tomato. So this tomato, the DNA will replicate, and you find a fish in the form of tomato. So this is what genetically engineered means. So you engineering completely, and it looks like something, but you're eating something different. So imagine your corn, your cotton that we wear, all are not only genetically engineered, they do other things. For example, there is a bacteria that they use it. So there are two ways. One is a pesticide, right? So you use a bacteria, and that produces a certain type of it's a glyphosate, we call it. It's a glyphosate is normally used for killing it's a pesticide, right? Herbicide, basically. So herbicide, and for pesticides. So what they do is they inject these bacteria inside the corn, so that these bacteria have the property to produce that natural pesticide. So what you're actually doing is, if it is a non-GMO, right, non-genetically engineered food, it is fine. It's the normal food. But if it is a genetically engineered food and there is no label, so what happens is you're seeing that the molecule, the DNA encapsulates this kind of a bacteria, and that bacteria is now secreting natural poison. And glyphosate is responsible for many diseases, all the gut. So they fed all these, cow, pigs, and the Danish farmer, he found that this all, all the pigs got, dysentery. And one of the doctors in New York, she tried to practice for 500 people. They all have gut problems. So when they remove GMO, all the gut problems were. So all the GA tract. So they are connecting with the GA tract, or because of this. So because they have other properties, not only just the they are natural pesticide, but also they are antibiotic in nature. So they can kill the gut bacteria, and they have poking properties. So they make holes in the guts. So these all are responsible for many diseases. So these are mainly fed. So genetically, because you cannot feed all the animals with natural organic food, so they start to feed these animals continuously with genetically modified food, and the animal produces the same kind of milk forever and ever. And in the so the process, it is mentioned here. It's a process how the toxins are, they get into the gut of the larva of some insects, and then how it can penetrate into the cell membrane and binds into the DNA, so that you have the cell itself becomes very protective. Suppose you wanted to put something on the cotton, instead of the cotton, why do they use? So that the cotton can produce its anti herbal herbicide product, property, and prevent from being affected. So basically what it is happening is, it's completely, the cotton is growing along with the poison inside it encapsulated. So you are taking in, you're consuming, or the animals consume it. So you will have this problem, continuous problem that goes, because as you consume the milk products or any other products, you will have this problem, continuous problem. Whatever the animal fed, that comes into the property of the milk. Now, most of you know about the mad cow disease, bovine spongiform encephalo. But so this is one of the it's a neurodegenerative disease in the cows. So here, what in the mid 1980s, so they have, they start to feed 95% of the farm in the West. They start to feed meat and dead cows, dead goats, dead even the dogs. They fed in this country. They have fed dogs and cats and all. They churn it and make it like a food and gave it to the cows. So this is the industrial model. So what happened? Suddenly these farmers are looking at the cattle were fed, and government approved these things, and suddenly the cattle suddenly they started to dying. Sudden death happened. They'll be very nice, and suddenly they collapse. So then they try to find what was this, and finally they found this what is called the mad cow disease now. And 95% of the cows that are today here in the farms, the 5% of the cows were some cows that were prevented by native people here. um, or some a little bit of ashrams and other places. But in the most cases, these are cows that have been coming from different in the UK. This all thing happened in UK, and 4.4 million cows were killed. They were burnt, and they were also worried about the ash of this, the karma that they did, but still they couldn't identify that. Still today, this mad cow disease is also spreading in another form in the humans. It's called the variant Creutzfeldt's Jacob disease. He was the one who found. And in 2018, this year, 231 cases have been reported globally of this disease. And many, because people in the United States, the government has said, oh, we don't have any problems. But every 2.5 years, they have to do a test. And that test is to find out the cows will have mad cow disease or not. And people cannot know what can happen. So all the cows that we have in the United States are mostly having this problem because these cows were they were the progeny of the cows that were actually fed with this meat. All 95% of the cows are fed with meat. So now they stopped feeding meat. That was against, but the mad cow disease is continuing. So that's why 2.5 years they have a test whether mad cow disease is there and all these things. But other than that, these cows, they are given continuously antibiotics. Continuous antibiotics are given to them, and they impregnate them, artificial impregnants. So this, cow becomes like a machine. And imagine, you have a mother and she just have to deliver a baby whole life before even getting, 1 year, 6 months, you can deliver a baby, keep on delivering a baby. And you have to drink the milk, the karma out of this. And for that, we have to do we really need this milk here? That's the question. In the United States, will this, I mean, if you're, from a different culture and you know how this is, this culture has been, looking at that, do we really need to drink milk in the United States or in any Western country? When 95% of the cows are coming from mad cow, they are mad cows. They have this disease and their progeny only. So the ones that were there, they have this, but why they have the test is they don't know which cow can have this. So all the DNAs, they have this because 95% were fed with this. Only the ones which are died they have seen some reaction, so they killed it. They burnt that. But rest of it is what we are looking at. And this has happened, cross-cultural happened, people we bought Jersey cows. We had our own cows back in India. We call it Jersey cows. And we bought these cows. And, that because these cows give a lot of milk. So what was the reason? So they engineered the entire cow in such a way they can produce this, this kind of a gene they produce. So they really, what we are looking at is it's a very big karma here. So the only way, so now I want to share like the ancient perspective of, how they used milk and what was the reason, So in ancient perspective, if you look at, so milk, the cow, the tree and the human being, they are very important. This is a very big triangle. So the Bayer triangle. So you look at the these cows are respected, first of all. So cows are not killed, and cows were really respected like godly, and truly they are in a sense, because these cows, they have the, the tree gives the energy to the cow. The trees are very antennas, so their antennas are like they can get energy from the planet, and they supply the energy to the cow that take shelter. Cows, because of their horns and their hump, both they have two properties. Their horns are acting like antennas, and also their hump, they have what is called Surya Kedu Nadi. So Surya Kedu Nadi is a type of Nadi, like you do Surya Namaskar. Only humans can do Surya Namaskar because humans have a Surya Nadi. So Surya Nadi, that means when you don't have, you're in winter and you're not exposed to sun, but if you're doing Surya Namaskar, you can automatically get the sun's energy, because that nadi is activated. It actually absorbs the sun's energy. Similarly, the only animal which has these two property, one is the Surya and another is called Kedu. Ragu Kedu are like the two belts. When the sun tries to become a black hole, in Western science it's not possible, but in Eastern science, the sun tries to become a black hole at the end. It tries to and stretches and goes to the end in both hemispheres. The atoms start to stop, and it, so from both hemispheres, you see the atoms getting merged with the universe. And during that time, the shade of that, if it falls on the earth, so there is only two way, one of the regions is the Ragu and another is the Kedu, two hemispheres. So people start to either belong to one of these, the Ragu or the Kedu belt. So 1/3 of the people happen to fall on the Ragu belt, and only 1/4 of the, two-third belongs to that, and only 1/4 belong to the Kedu belt. So the Kedu is even less. As human beings, we have only less Kedu. So Kedu's property, so each planet has a different property. So Kedu's property is to elevate consciousness. So that's what is the property. So therefore, that particular nadi is with these cows. So when people are born with that Ketu, they automatically become, less money-minded, and the other, the 2/3 of people, they start to have, they become very money-minded, and they're business people, and also we have very less people who are really, in the Ketu belt, and therefore the ancient tradition said, in order for everybody to balance, you drink this cow's milk that comes from a, the source. It's called the Ragu Ketu twin nadi, and because of that, you will get very good health and all. Not only that's why we're not only drinking the cow's milk, we are consuming every part, except that we are not killing the cows. So that is the ancient tradition. So you take cow dung, that is a medicine. You take urine is a medicine. Every part of the cow becomes a medicine. So now the real question is, the milk is not bad when you respect it, because it's a deal. I mean, we're not taking, if you're taking excess milk and all these things without giving to a calf, it's a big karma. But the cows also have a property to store some of the excess milk, and people have understood that. And they are like tamed, they are the most tameable animals, because they have 16 meter aura, so their aura is very big. So that in this aura, that's why in the ancient literature, the Krishna with the flute and all these things are they have a very scientific value, because when you start to live with the cows, they are like really energetic. You will not get cancer. And so one of the speakers was talking about how like 350 villages in Karnataka, they didn't have any hospitals. This is because everybody had a cow. So that is because of the medicinal value of the aura, the biomagnetic energy of the cow by itself. So the cow has a very important property, but only when you have all these qualities in that and the cow is not being killed. So milk by itself is not bad. But the milk where it is coming from in this country or anywhere is the most poisonous thing in the world that really affects our health in a very big way. So I just wanted to put this here, and I'll be open for any questions from now. So there are a lot of things I can explain as we have some questions thrown up. Any questions?
Sir, I have a question.
You just tell your name, please, and then.
Yeah, this is Balu Vemburaj.
Yes.
So you're saying we cannot consume the milk in the US, right? Is there any chance that we can actually get that milk here in the US, like the proper milk, like the ones that we get back in?
Well, you can get not milk, but you can get other forms. So best form is ghee. So ghee is our best form, because in ancient tradition also milk is not big, recommended in a big way. Usually the buttermilk or the ghee as the important property. So one other thing that you can do as a US, living in the Western country, is to get the right source of ghee from the place that and you are confident that the cows are taken care of. They have natural death, and they are all, when the people who are allowing it to natural death, you don't have to ask for anything else. You don't have to ask for organic or anything. They know. They will feed only organic and other things when it is dying naturally. So they know value of that. So you have to find, there are a lot of sources like in India, and so you can get these sources, and then you start to consume. It is safe, but otherwise, in a bigger sense, there is no replacement for cow's milk. So it's like mother's milk. There is no replacement for mother's milk. Mother's milk and cow's milk are not equal. You really don't need cow's milk unless you have some kind of a medicinal or anything. It's not like for you to consume every day. That is not a requirement. But since you can have a medicinal value like ghee or something, you can take that. But and you need to have a limited on that too. So that is okay. But otherwise, you really don't need to be scared that you're going to die or something like that if you don't have milk. But that's only it's in the gene. That's not true. But here you don't replace. I have soy milk. Soy milk is a crap. It's a piece of crap, because soy is highly processed. It's a genetically engineered food, and the processing step to make something appear like milk, can a bean become a milk? Think about it. So the number of processing steps that they involve you will lose all the health benefits. So there is no replacement for milk. Like even cow's milk, there is no replacement. It's nothing. Almond milk will not make a cow's milk. Almond is different. It has a different kind of gunas. So that has nothing to do with it. It's only for your habit satisfaction. You're doing it basically. So only thing what you need what your gut should be clean. So you need some kind of a bacteria. Probiotics is needed if you're eating like a batter, like idli dosa kind of batter, or you make like old rice batter. There are some soups that you keep it for longer fermentation happens. So gut bacteria that can help. So these all are fermented items. They are needed for our gut because they have healthy bacteria. So other than that, you really don't need milk as it is. And if you look at, who knows, mad cow disease, you think about all these cows were fed with its own dead body meats. They fed the dogs, cats, and these are the cows, and all these cows are going to be killed, first of all. And look at the karma of this. You think about, it's a business model. You take this, I take this, everybody is divided. You take meat, I will take the skin, I take the bone, I will make some, carbon filters. You take the leathers, and make, leather sheets. I will take the milk, you take the cow dung, everybody is equal. It doesn't matter because you are responsible for the cow to be killed at the end. So there is no, it doesn't really matter. Even you have a bigger karma, then people usually think, oh, I'm a vegetarian, I'm not eating. So look at the vegetarian shoe, look at the vegetarian's couch, and look at the car seats they have. It's a bigger karma than eating meat, because eating meat is only a necessity. But luxury, you're using for luxury, right? So it has a bigger karma. It's not about eating. Eating is not, everything is converted. Nothing happens, basically. But what happens is the karma is a bigger factor in ancient science.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any questions? Yes.
Sir, one more question. So you said like the hippo, like, or elephant, they're all really strong and they don't drink cow's milk or anything, other animals' milk. But generally, there is something called as genetic, no, sir. So genetically, animals like elephant is stronger. It's
right.
So my question is, though they take cow's milk or they don't take cow's milk, it's different. For example, uh, Asians are supposed to be like this genetically. Most of the Asians will be the same
right.
kind of the color, texture, everything. So each people, there is something called as genetic. So
right.
how can we relate with the cow,
right.
like milk?
So your genetic is your own thing. Why do you want to change your gene? You be whatever you be thin. So what? So I mean, you be thin as possible. You can become a caterpillar, right? Size of a caterpillar. Really, is that's your gene, original gene? Keep that gene, right? Why do you want to change? Be different, right?
I think the question is more like we have been used to drinking milk for ages now, and now if you're not drinking milk,
It is a habit. It is a habit that we couldn't leave this habit, right? If you go to India, you have a chance. You know that these cows are good. You can go drink milk, but because of that habit, why do you want to drink poison? You have an habit. That the habit is good habit, because we had one point of the time we had these cows. We respected the cows. The cows were treated like god, and we had the value of that. The cows were not killed. So there is a value. Now the same, because of your habit, you're drinking another poisonous thing. So there is no replacement. Oh, somebody is selling a good cow milk somewhere else. It's not true. What kind of cow? Look at the history of the cows. How long it has been there, and what all they injected, antibiotics. Every cow antibiotics. I've seen in ashrams. These cows, if they are not, you cannot declare the milk is, um, if any cow has some problems, they will have to kill it. Even in ashrams here, they will have to kill the cows if they have find some kind of a problem with the cows. So it's not that they're trying to protect here. We should appreciate that. At least many organizations like the Hare Rama Krishna organizations and all are like, and some private organizations, they are trying to prevent this. They looked at cow as the same god like what they looked in back. But basically, at least there is a little less karma there. But basically, these cows are the same cows that came from there. So I mean, it really is. The only way is like you make people aware that you should allow this cow to be alive and respect that until we change our mind. These cows here, whatever we consume as cow products, dairy products, cheese, whatever, it is completely poison. And you look at the facts; these are real facts. Meat fed. You can just Google and see, and look into all the papers and other things. They have relevant government papers and everything. They all are true facts.
So irrespective of whether it's non-GMO, organic, all those crap, it's still poisonous, right? I mean, it's because it came from the forefathers of mad cow disease ancestors.
Right. Yes, the organic GMO concept is also basically for this. You genetically engineer. Why you want more, and why? Because you want a greedy. You want to be greedy. Oh, you can do a little and get everything. Why do you feed others? You don't feed yourself. You want to feed others. And that's how genetically engineered has done all the wheat crops, barley, wheat, rye. All are completely genetically engineered. There is nothing called, because those days used to have like tall as 6 feet. That was the real original wheat form. So what you get wheat is now only this size. So all are genetically engineered. Even if it is organic now, these all are wheat form which came from the West in terms of Green Revolution. They put it in different places, Bangladesh, Somalia, Ethiopia, and all these countries in India. All this came from. That's why in the north of India, when it came to Delhi, people started to eat wheat. They forgot all the bajra and all other millets farms. Wheat was very cheap. In rations of government brought this. So we really, we lost our whole grains now because of this. Healthy grains were lost, and we are made food that, this is the food, roti is our food. It's not. It's not true. Not this type of roti. Well, nothing has to do with salted butter, unsalted butter, or organic. It's all are crap. Organic here is a crap. A piece of crap. Tell you, organic doesn't have any meaning here. It has nothing. What do you mean by organic? It's a very temporary certificate they are getting to clear the farms. This is only for government and ethical kind of thing. It is based on legal, not on ethical. So if you really look deeper into that, so nobody will be responsible. Do you think government will try to give you good food? No. We have to choose. Government will not be responsible for giving you good food. So we have to choose. This is nothing to do with unsalted butter or organic. I'm making my own ghee. We know the process, buy the butter, organic butter, and making it. We all have been in this process. But this is all really a Maya. This is a complete. You look at where this source is coming from and how historically these cows were. That gene will continuously come. You cannot escape the same milk, the mad cow thing. We don't know what could happen in our body, right? And the karma that is going through this, all the cows are killed. So both scientifically, modern scientifically, you are harmed, and also ethically, ancient scientifically, through your sins, you are getting the effect of this. So it is better to avoid, and you can go for some little quantity. That way people know that awareness you should create, so that people should know that I'm going to buy only from these kind of sources. And because of these reasons, because they are protecting the cows, so that's how we are able to protect, by resisting to buy, like how Gandhi did, resisting to buy the products that was produced from other countries. So by doing that, that's the only way you can make people aware of how to respect the animals. And they are part of, I mean, they are part of a conscious. Animals are nothing, but it's another form of consciousness. Yeah. So I can take one more question and then we can close.
Dr. Shan, hi. You plan to organize silent retreat sometime in January, right? I mean, that farm also has, traditionally been raising cows, isn't it? That's a very
Well, that's why, I told you
well
you can
maintained.
go less karmic. At least the one way is they're less karmic. If you're going to an ashram based or an individual who decided to not kill the animals, they are very different, So that way we can. But you look at historically, and at least in the ashrams, they are, you're making biodynamic because of the prayers, and we're blessing the cows, and all these things can definitely change the quality of the milk and other things, but they're much safer than this. But in general, mostly we should be very cautious, because even in ashrams there are conditions where they store this for longer time, and today even ashrams are not able to maintain with, they are not milking the cows with hands. So they have to use machines because of regulatory reasons, and so all these things are there. There are concerns. Most of they have to have a business model, so they will have to store this. So when you store the cow milk for longer time, you don't get really the benefit of the milk also. So if you can get something fresh, that time when you're going there and using that's fine. But they are also struggling because they wanted to survive and according to the rules. But if other things were allowed, they would also keep the cows, even in a better way. But of course, we need to support these organizations, as at least the big karma they're taking out of is to, even, I mean, we don't need the milk, but you can donate still. I mean, you can donate to these organizations if you really wanted to help. It not necessarily mean you have to drink milk for it. You can simply donate. So, okay. You can get ghee from many organizations, including, I mean, we do send some information of some, in our, you know, um, some organizations we do have some kind of a ghee. We send it in our newsletters, but we don't have to limit to that. But you can also find your own source of ghee, and you find, I mean, as long as you are confident that this is everything, you look for source. Where is this coming from? How they're processing all this history? You have to dig that, and only then you buy. For everything, for that matter, you have to understand what it is. What means pasta, for example? What is pasta? Know the definition. How this is happening? Then you are thorough with everything. Then you buy. So, but if you look at whole grains and all these things directly coming from, there is no processing step. So only thing you have to know is whether the farmer is putting pesticides or their genetically engineered seeds, all these things. That is what is needed. But for other things, you have to go for industrial processing steps, very complicated to understand. So this is one of the things that I teach in my transdisciplinary science and technology, going deep into all these matters. So we teach this as a course, and now I just extended this part, particularly on one subject, but we talk about different subjects, about like how what you shouldn't be using as furnitures in your house. not the upholstery materials, what you shouldn't be using, what kind of clothing you should wear. So all these things you should really, really know in order to be health. Health has nothing to do with you knowing your Vata, Pitta, Kapha, or just, you're meditating. Meditation alone will not make any change, because the actions are against conflicting your, your thinking. Just by meditating, it is not enough, because your action is against the thought process you wanted to achieve. You wanted to achieve global peace or individual peace, but your actions that you did by consuming something from outside or inside, that has a bigger impact than what you're doing. So you need to be aware of this. Your awareness in the material consciousness and esoteric awareness, both are equally needed. You should be aware of the self as well as aware of what is happening outside you as material consciousness. So both the balance is needed. So that's what we teach in our transdisciplinary science and technology. So it starts in the 8th of January. And we have, for people who have advanced, we teach Marma course. So 3 months we drill you by giving certain things, and now you start to think. It's not that we are training you or doing, we are giving you the facts, and then you start to think and you decide. So up to whatever level you could go, you could, and how much, that will really relieve a lot of things, your questions. Oh, okay, I'm concerned about this. I don't have to worry about this anymore. And this is very important than just taking medicines. Siddha medicine or Ayurvedic medicine. These are all things come next. First, we have to fix our lifestyle disorders. There's so many disorders that we don't know, and that's very preliminary. So this is very important. So we are not talking about here veganism or anything like that. This is more a bigger concept. Veganism is a concept is very good, but vegan products all are junk products. The replacement of this, in ancient India, we have a lot of good products. You don't need a veganism product like soy or potato chips to eat. You have a lot of options. So a very good replacement for everything. It's all very unique. So you have to go into that dimension, and then you start to work and then implement at the home, and that's how we change. So I would suggest everybody to at least try to take our course and see how it works for you all, and you can see a lot of things that you can learn from. Our aim is to transform people through educating, and you need both education, not just ancient knowledge. You also need a modern knowledge, because modern language only they're using you to cheat you, because the moment you create big words, you will not understand. That's how science is designed, so that at some point you cannot understand and they can answer everything, so you can make money. So that's how it is designed. So you don't need that kind of thing. So common sense, use common sense questions will solve all the problems. Okay, so thank you all. I think you're almost done, and we'll see next week then.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.